We're here to talk about your new singles. I Walked Over the Edge
Okay.
and Midnight Symphony.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for taking some time today.
Oh, no problem, no problem. And also, if you don't mind, we could possibly maybe go into your debut album, Love and Grief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, great, great. So starting out, would you like to mainly give us some background on your music history? Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I've been writing music really since the time I was old enough to crawl up to the piano in my childhood home. And just started playing by ear from a very early age. And I actually got in trouble when I would take piano lessons because my piano teacher would get upset that I wouldn't turn the page and I'd keep playing the music. So I just developed an ear for music at an early age and continued that through really a lot of influence came in high school in choral music and so formal in jazz chamber and formal chamber kind of music and really even show music that began to influence my perception of different voicing and dynamic and things like that, and counter melody and all that kind of good stuff. Then spent a little bit of time in college studying music theory and composition. So I've got a lot of influences from a lot of different places, not only from some of the greats of progressive and classic rock, but also symphonic music and choral music. So those influences come from all over the place.
Who were some influences growing up?
Wow. Some of the bigger influences were, groups like, of course, Peter Gabriel, Genesis, Yes, Rush, um, Pink Floyd, of course. Those were some of the really big influences on the music, as well as one big influence has been the composer Arvo Part, a minimalist composer. There's just a peacefulness and a simplicity, yet complexity to his music that is really kind of woven into the way that I approach cadence and stuff like that in music. It's really interesting with Skillet. I was actually the front man for, if you've ever heard. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that group,
Yes.
but I was actually the front man for that group of guys that were forming a group, and we were doing all my original music at the time. Then I went overseas to pursue some more education. About 6 weeks later, they got signed without me. So
Wow. Wow. No
yeah,
way.
but I love those guys. John is still a very good friend of mine, and knowing his story and his journey, it was definitely the right thing that was supposed to happen. But yeah, it's always been a desire of mine to come back around to putting together the music and putting together an album. And I think for me, it just reached a point where I really felt like there was something important that I had to say. And I wanted to create a space for that to be said and for it to hopefully connect with people.
So how did we get to I Walked Over the Edge and Midnight Symphony? How did you come to that point?
You mean in terms of the journey in life that brought me to those songs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, an interesting story. I'll start with I Walked Over the Edge. Is it okay if I take a little bit of time to give some
Yeah,
background on this?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm 45 years old, right? So I'm debuting my album well into life, having missed an opportunity, at 19 to jump into the limelight with the group that I was fronting, like I said a minute ago, that got signed, 6 weeks after I went off to pursue some education. But I give that kind of background in my age now to say I Walked Over the Edge is a song that I started when I was 18 years old. I had written most of that song at age 18. The only part, at least musically, I had the music except for the bridge, and I had that one line, that hook for the chorus, that I walked over the edge. So I have a that's how much of the song I had at 18, and it's one that's just haunted me all these years of, I've got to finish this at some point. But as an artist, sometimes it's this push and pull of, you want to finish it, but you kind of don't, because it's a friend on the journey with you, and it's still growing. It's still, when your music serves to edify yourself in the confines and sacred space of your own studio room, sometimes that music not having words allows it to give voice to a lot of the emotion that you're feeling that you just don't have language for yet. But as we as I got a little bit closer to recording this album, and this song came out, that the rest of these words came to me, and really what the whole album is about, and I think I Walked Over the Edge captures in a really concise way, particularly in the bridge. The idea of the entire album is this idea that our longing is a goodness. If you were to see the packaging of the CD and open it up, there's this phrase inside, written on the inside of the packaging. It says, "Longing is the language to experience beauty." And I think for those of us, and really I think this is everyone that is paying attention to their story and their journey, but for those of us that have known longing, and that longing has been met with disappointment or delay or deferred hope, some people call it, it's really hard to hold unfulfilled longing as something that could be considered beautiful. But in reality, it's what we're built for. Yeah. We're built for longing. We're built for hope. One of my favorite things to do is to take my Jeep off road and drive around in the mountains. And out here in Colorado, there's all kinds of really great off road trails. And there's not one time I go out where I don't see some trail, and I look over and I'm like, I wonder where that goes. Right. Man, I'd love to drive down that one day. And the day that stops happening, when I go out to off road, it wouldn't be a good day. It would be a really sad day. That my longing is at the point that it's not inspiring me toward exploration. And so I think that's one of the things. It's like in light of being able to look at our story and see that it's known disappointment, that it's known betrayal, that it's known loss, but then to still stand there and say, but my longing is so good.
Was Midnight Symphony similar to I Walked Over the Edge in regards of having it for a while?
Yeah, it really was, actually. It's really funny. Those two songs on the album really are unique in that way, oddly enough. And Midnight Symphony, I had written a good bit of, even lyrically a while back. It just really had to get polished up for the album, and kind of, just really polished up. And that one really is trying to capture this just fun sense of the innocence of being in love. And so that song really for me draws on stories from earlier in my life. And we were talking about the context of both of these songs being love and grief. I wanted to tell some stories in the songs that hopefully were universal enough for other people to connect to, but that were also force and integrity, and actually arising out of my own story.
Did you do a lot of the recording in Colorado?
Yeah, we actually recorded the entire album here in Colorado, in a studio in Durango, which is about 6 hours from where I am here in Colorado Springs. But Michael Rossback, the producer, is located out there, and I had known Michael for a while through a number of mutual friends. We've been talking about doing this recording for some time, and so we were able to then bring together really an A list of really great musicians to participate in putting this project together. And boy, it was a lot of fun. What's funny, Midnight Symphony, all my demos of it were really mellow. That song was like really, really slow and kind of really, really mellow. We went to record track the instruments on that one at the end of a really long day. Some of the songs on the album are like 6 and 7 minutes long, and I think earlier that day they had just tracked another track called Lake of Dreams, which is not an easy song to play, and it's got key changes and time changes and all kinds of stuff all over the place on that one. So they were really kind of exhausted by the time they got to Midnight Symphony, and so they go through, they listen through the song, they're charting it out and everything, and they're just playing through it, making sure that they've got all the changes down and everything, and they went into kind of this like 80s groove that you hear on the album. And Michael, the producer, was also playing bass, and he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Can we?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "If you guys are having fun, this much fun playing it, people are gonna have fun listening to it." Right. And so yeah, but no, that all happened down in Durango, Colorado, in Crystal Village Studios, where Michael Rostock does a number of his recording and stuff with artists that he works with. And we even brought string players into the studio there to play the string parts and stuff.
How long of a recording process?
Oh goodness. We tracked the main band over the course of 1 week. Long days. I don't know how people get the guys to work that hard, but I think they were just having a whole lot of fun. One of the guys told me at the end of the recording that it's the most fun he'd had on a recording in a really long time. But yeah, so we track all the main instruments over the course of 1 week, and then everything else, vocals, couple layers, and then strings over a number of different sessions. That whole, getting all the instruments in, and including the vocals and everything, probably took a couple of months. Not solid, right? So you got all the instruments over 1 week, and then a bunch of other digital sessions for vocals, background, and lead, and then a bunch of sessions for the strings. There were a lot of sessions for the strings.
Oh yeah.
And then the mixing and mastering process and all that kind of good stuff. I think all in all, from start to finish, it was about a 6-month process.
Do you have any must-haves while you're in the studio?
Any must-haves?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that my must-have now are Taylor on guitar, John on keys, and I mean those guys, they're just incredible. So definitely the people make all the difference. You want to have fun with friends,
right?
Doing something like this. There is actually a music video that we produced earlier in the year. I think it came out maybe about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
For the title track of the album. I mean, not the title track, the opening track of the album.
Underneath the willow tree. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have that music video that is out there. Again, when I do something, I like to do it big and hot, and so that's definitely what we did with that one. Yeah. Shooting it south of Las Vegas and Dry Lake in the desert there. I'm thankful we did it. I just drove through there about a month ago, and it was a 114, so I'm certainly glad that we shot that in January instead of July. So that's there. I don't know that we'll do any more music videos off of this album again, because we're ramping, a lot for it. putting efforts toward the next release now.
When can we expect the next release? Coming soon?
Well, we're in pre-production in mid-October, and so I would expect early 2020, like maybe January, February timeframe.
Oh, nice.
Is what I'm shooting for, and it'll be another full-length album, really leaning into the symphonic and progressive rock element. This one will be a little bit thematically. It's exploring concepts of human connection and happiness. So that's a little bit of a preview of thematically what that'll be about. We're trying to sonically explore integrating analog instruments like modular synthesis with symphonic elements, and of course the band element will be that as well, with guitars and everything else. But it'll be a lot of exploration of some sonic textures with sonic and modular synthesis elements.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much, Matthew. Any last words you would like to possibly say to the listeners?
I think the one thing that I want my music and what my music communicates to say to people is that you were created to know and to give delight, and that nothing that's happened in your story can take that away.
And how can they find you on social media and purchase the music?
Absolutely. The best place to buy the music is on my Bandcamp page, which is matthewbrowning.bandcamp.com. I think I've got that right. You might want to double check that. And on social media, I'm most active on Facebook, and you can find me at facebook.com/Matthew Browning.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I definitely thank you, Matthew. I love the two singles, and the music on the album. Definitely good. I can't wait to hear the new piece.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be sure to reach out to you and let you know when maybe even there's some preview tracks available for you to take a sneak peek at.
Awesome. I'll definitely stay in touch with you, Matthew.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday afternoon to reach out. And as an independent artist, it's both flattering and so incredibly valuable to have someone take the time to interact and engage. And so I really do appreciate that.
Oh,
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
no problem. Take care.